The 19-year-old alien princess insulted the human, so he turned and left without a word. He paused for a moment, letting his eyes sweep over the alien city sprawling before him. Towers of shining crystal and silver metal rose high into the sky, reflecting the twin suns that bathed the city in warm, golden light. Bridges of glowing energy arched gracefully between the towers, carrying streams of elegant hovercrafts that moved like schools of luminous fish. Jace's mind, trained to notice detail, cataloged everything. He noted the people moving about the city, tall, graceful beings with iridescent skin and elongated limbs, their eyes glinting with intelligence and curiosity. Their clothing was elegant yet functional, glowing faintly at the seams, suggesting some integration of technology with fabric. Even from a distance, the city felt alive, almost breathing. As the human diplomat to the Elorian Empire, Jace had faced many first impressions before, but none like this. Eloria was not only beautiful, it was advanced, orderly, and undeniably alien. And yet he could not shake the feeling that this city, for all its beauty, had secrets. Secrets that only someone observant, patient, and cautious could understand. The shuttle doors hissed closed behind him, and Jace adjusted the strap of his utility pack. His mission was clear: negotiate a technology-sharing agreement between humans and the Elorian Empire. The humans had innovations the Elorians were interested in, and the Elorians had knowledge humanity needed. But diplomacy, he knew, was never simple, especially when pride and perception were involved. A figure approached from the platform's edge. She moved with a confidence and poise that made her seem taller than she actually was. Her hair shimmered like liquid silver, and her eyes were a piercing violet, glowing faintly in the sunlight. She wore a regal gown that rippled like flowing water as she walked. "Captain Arden, welcome to Eloria," the young princess said, her voice melodic but sharp. "I am Princess Leora, daughter of Emperor Kale. I hear humans have much to offer us, though I wonder if you are more than your species' reputation suggests." Jace studied her carefully. She was only 19, he had been told, but her posture, gaze, and tone carried a confidence far beyond her years. There was intelligence and pride in every movement she made. And then there was the subtle edge in her words, the hint of a challenge. "I am here to serve in the interest of both our peoples, Princess Leora," Jace replied, keeping his voice calm even. "I hope we can find common ground." The princess's lips curved slightly, almost imperceptibly. "We shall see, Captain." "Humans are clever, but sometimes cleverness borders on arrogance. I hope you are not one of those who think themselves superior to those around them." Jace felt a flicker of irritation, but he did not show it. In diplomacy, reactions were currency. One wrong move, one visible offense, and negotiations could fail before they even began. Instead, he inclined his head politely and said nothing, allowing a moment of silence to hang between them. The palace shuttle arrived to take him to the royal court. As he entered, he noticed the careful symmetry of the architecture. High ceilings arched like the wings of some celestial bird. The walls were embedded with crystals that pulsed with soft light, responding to the presence of those walking by. Servants and guards moved with precision, yet they all watched him curiously. Humans were rare here, and their presence was noteworthy. When they arrived at the court chamber, Jace's eyes widened at the sight. Hundreds of Elorian nobles filled the space, each one more elaborate in dress than the next. Their expressions were a mixture of curiosity, mild suspicion, and polite formality. At the far end of the hall, Princess Leora waited, seated on a throne that seemed to float slightly above the floor. Her eyes never left him as he walked forward, every step measured, every gesture precise. "Captain Arden," Leora said once he reached the center of the room. "Our people are eager to see if humans truly deserve the reputation they have earned. Some say humans are resilient. Some say they are reckless. I am curious to see which is true of you." Jace held her gaze evenly. "I assure you, Princess, I am neither reckless nor dismissive of your people. I am here to understand, to cooperate, and to ensure both our people's benefit." The princess's expression hardened, her violet eyes flashing. "Your words are cautious, as expected. But humans sometimes hide their intentions behind words. Actions, Captain Arden, reveal the truth." Jace nodded. He had anticipated a test, though not so direct. Diplomacy in his experience often came with subtle traps, insults disguised as compliments, questions designed to expose weaknesses. And this, he realized, was one such test. The audience continued, with various nobles presenting technological curiosities and diplomatic queries. Jace listened carefully, answered respectfully, and offered insights where appropriate. But the tension between him and Leora remained, unspoken yet palpable. Every glance she cast seemed loaded with judgment. Every word she spoke was precise and pointed. Finally, the princess leaned forward slightly. "I hear humans have a remarkable ability to adapt," she said, almost conversationally. "Yet your species is young, impulsive, and prone to mistakes. Tell me, Captain, how does a human distinguish itself from the rest? How do you prove your worth in a galaxy of beings far older and wiser than you?" Jace's eyes met hers, steady and unwavering. For a moment no one spoke. The court was silent, hanging on his response. "I believe that worth is shown through action, Princess," he said calmly. "Through courage, resilience, and a willingness to learn from mistakes. Words alone are not enough to prove anything. Actions show what someone truly is." Leora's lips pressed into a thin line. Her violet eyes scrutinized him, as if trying to read every hidden thought. She had expected hesitation, perhaps defensiveness. Instead, she found calm, measured confidence. For the first time, her curiosity deepened. "Perhaps," she said finally, her voice softening slightly. "Perhaps you are not as foolish as some humans seem, but we shall see. Your true character will be revealed in time." Jace inclined his head politely. "I look forward to demonstrating it, Princess." The audience ended shortly after, with Princess Leora standing and signaling the conclusion. Jace was escorted to the guest quarters, but even as he left the court chamber, he could sense the lingering eyes of nobles and the princess following him. He knew that first impressions mattered more here than anywhere else, and he knew that Leora's challenge had only begun. That evening, as Jace looked out from the balcony of his quarters, he marveled at the city lights below. The glow of the towers, the gentle hum of energy bridges, and the quiet movements of the citizens painted a picture of perfection. Yet he also knew that beneath the beauty and order, there were complexities, rivalries, and ambitions that could not be seen at first glance. He had come to Eloria to negotiate, but he also realized he was here to learn, to observe, and to navigate a world far different from his own. And the young princess, proud and sharp-tongued, would be his first true test. Jace smiled faintly to himself. Challenges were nothing new to him, but he could already tell this one would be unlike any he had faced before. As the twin suns dipped below the horizon, casting the city in hues of violet and gold, Jace felt a spark of excitement. The journey had begun, and the true story of human resilience, ingenuity, and courage on Eloria was only just starting. The morning sun bathed the Elorian city in soft golden light, casting long shadows across the crystalline towers. Captain Jace Arden stood silently at the threshold of the royal court, waiting for his escort to arrive. The events of the previous day still echoed in his mind, the sharp words of Princess Leora and the cold, silent tension that had filled the hall. He knew the young princess's insult had not been meant lightly, yet he also understood that responding in kind would only deepen divisions. Jace had chosen silence. In that moment, as he had turned and walked away without a word, he had sent a message of restraint, dignity, and composure. Every eye in the chamber had followed him, astonished. Humans were unpredictable, some Elorians whispered, but this one had shown a quiet power that spoke louder than words ever could. The palace corridors were vast and lined with softly glowing panels, showing shifting patterns that seemed to dance like water. Jace's escort, a calm, pale-skinned Elorian named Kale, moved beside him without speaking. The quiet was comfortable, almost meditative. Humans often found peace in silence, Kale reflected, noting how composed the visitor seemed despite the earlier confrontation. "Where are we going, Kale?" Jace finally asked, his voice calm, carrying neither challenge nor complaint. "To the observation terraces," Kale replied. "You may wish to see more of Eloria before attending any further meetings." "It is customary to understand the land before negotiating." Jace nodded. He knew there was wisdom in observing, and that observation often revealed more than any formal discussion. As they walked, the city unfolded before him in astonishing detail. Bridges of transparent material arched gracefully over flowing energy streams, where light pulses carried power across the city. Citizens of all shapes and sizes moved along the streets and aerial walkways, some riding on floating platforms, others gliding effortlessly with anti-gravity devices. The architecture was both elegant and functional, reflecting an advanced society that valued both beauty and practicality. Jace paused near a street market filled with floating stalls. The scents were unlike anything he had encountered on Earth, a mix of sweet, spicy, and metallic tangs. Alien produce shimmered in soft blues and greens, while mechanical devices hummed gently on display. Jace observed quietly, letting the city's rhythm wash over him. Humans could learn from Elorian ingenuity, yes, but also from their ability to balance efficiency with grace. Kale watched him with interest. "You do not seem startled," he said. "Many humans react to new environments with fear or wonder, sometimes both, yet you adapt." Jace smiled faintly. "Observation comes first, understanding comes second. Fear and wonder are useful only when they teach you something. Otherwise, they are distractions." Kale nodded thoughtfully. "A wise approach. Few humans act in such a measured way." They reached the observation terraces, which stretched out like a balcony into the sky. From here, Jace could see the city in its entirety. Sunlight reflected off the crystalline towers, creating a kaleidoscope of colors. Below, the people moved like threads in a vast tapestry. Beyond the city lay the emerald forests and silver rivers of Eloria, winding through hills that glowed faintly with bioluminescent plants. "It is breathtaking," Jace said softly. "Your people have built something remarkable." Princess Leora appeared suddenly at the terrace's far end, her presence commanding attention even in the vast space. Her violet eyes met his, sharp and curious. She had come without escort, an unusual display of confidence, or perhaps curiosity. "You are observing well," she said, her tone even. "Do humans often walk away from insults without speaking? I have never seen it. It is unsettling." Jace met her gaze steadily. "Sometimes silence is stronger than words, Princess. It allows one to understand rather than react." Leora tilted her head slightly, a faint smile brushing her lips. "Perhaps humans are more interesting than I thought, but can you remain silent in the face of action as well as words? That remains to be seen." Jace did not answer immediately. He knew the princess's test had just begun. She had insulted him not to harm, but to gauge his temperament, his patience, and his strength of character. And now, the real challenge would be whether he could prove himself through deeds rather than discussion. The next day, Jace was invited to explore parts of the palace usually closed to visitors. Kale guided him through corridors lined with glowing panels displaying information about the city, its energy systems, and the histories of its people. Jace listened attentively, asking questions, but never pressing beyond what was offered. His interest seemed genuine, and his calm demeanor encouraged even the cautious Elorians to share details. During a break, Jace wandered into a training area where the palace guards were practicing. The guards moved with incredible precision, their actions choreographed like a dance. Yet Jace noticed small inefficiencies, moments where their focus faltered or where instinct could complement technique. He did not interfere, merely observed, making mental notes of what could be improved. Princess Leora appeared again, silently watching him from the doorway. She noted how he observed without judging, how his eyes missed nothing, yet he never made her guards feel belittled. For the first time, she saw potential beyond her initial assumptions. Humans were often underestimated in Eloria, thought reckless and impulsive, but this one showed careful thought, patience, and an unusual calm that commanded respect. That evening, Jace was invited to dine with some of the palace advisors. The conversation was polite but probing. Questions about human technology, military strategies, and cultural practices came in rapid succession. Jace answered each one calmly, never showing irritation, always highlighting both human ingenuity and humility. The advisors began to see what Princess Leora had glimpsed, the subtle strength of a human mind, capable of creativity, problem-solving, and diplomacy all at once. Leora herself joined the table briefly, her presence commanding silence. She watched him carefully, noting how he interacted with the advisors. No hint of defensiveness, no prideful boasting, just composure and intelligence. When she spoke, her words were sharp but curious. "Captain Arden, your silence yesterday, it unsettled more than you know. Humans are loud, expressive, and often impulsive. You are none of those things. Why?" Jace considered his answer, choosing each word carefully. "Silence is a tool, Princess. It allows one to see clearly and understand more than words can reveal. I do not need to react immediately to a challenge. Observation often teaches more than confrontation. Leora leaned back, her violet eyes narrowing slightly. You are patient for a human, perhaps too patient, but there is strength in that patience. It is intriguing. Days passed, and Jace continued his exploration of Eloria. He visited the city's energy hub, watched the engineers at work, and even helped troubleshoot a minor malfunction in one of the palace's energy conduits. The Elorians who witnessed him were quietly impressed. Humans were clever in ways that differed from their own species, and this human, in particular, demonstrated a combination of humility and ingenuity that was rare even among Elorians. Through all of this, Princess Leora observed. She did not speak to him unnecessarily, but she watched. The young princess had believed herself wise beyond her years, confident in her judgment. Yet here was a human, calm, intelligent, and capable, quietly earning the respect of those around him. Not through words, not through arrogance, but through action and composure. One evening, as the twin suns set, casting the city in shades of orange and violet, Leora approached him on the terrace again. The air was warm, carrying the scent of alien flowers that glowed faintly in the twilight. You are different from any human I have known, she said softly. I thought my words would provoke you, show you your place. Instead, you walked away. You observe, you act, and yet you remain calm. I do not understand it fully, and I find it unsettling. Jace smiled faintly. Perhaps you are not meant to understand fully, Princess. Strength comes in many forms. Silence is one of them, and sometimes understanding comes slowly in its own time. Leora studied him, her expression unreadable. For the first time, she felt a mixture of curiosity and respect, two emotions she had rarely felt simultaneously. The human before her was quiet, yes, but his presence was commanding. Not with force, not with words, but with calm confidence. That night, Jace sat on the balcony of his quarters, looking out over the city. The twin moons had risen, bathing Eloria in soft silver light. He reflected on the events of the past days, the princess's insult, his own silence, and the subtle victories he had achieved simply by observing and acting thoughtfully. He knew the real challenges were yet to come. The palace was a labyrinth of intrigue, ambition, and expectation. Yet he felt ready. Humans had a way of turning even adversity into opportunity, of using calm and courage to navigate the unknown. And here, on this alien world, that quality would be tested as never before. As the night deepened, Jace felt a quiet determination settle within him. The journey was just beginning. Princess Leora's sharp words had been only the first test. Many more awaited, and he intended to meet each one, not with anger or pride, but with patience, intelligence, and resolve. For now, the silent human had begun leaving his mark on Eloria. And the young princess, for all her pride and sharp tongue, could not help but take notice. The following morning, the Elorian palace stirred with quiet activity. The twin suns cast long beams of light across the corridors, glinting off the crystalline walls and polished floors. Captain Jace Arden stood in the central hall, observing the palace staff and guards as they went about their routines. Each movement was precise, every action deliberate, and the hum of machinery blended seamlessly with the soft sounds of life. Unlike humans, who often relied on improvisation and instinct, the Elorians followed careful systems. Yet Jace noticed small cracks in the perfection, not mistakes exactly, but opportunities for improvement. His mind cataloged them silently, storing ideas for later. Humans were valued for their adaptability, and here he could see that subtle skill might be of use. Kale appeared beside him once more, carrying a small device that monitored energy flow throughout the palace. There is a minor imbalance in the eastern wing's energy grid, Kale said, handing it to Jace. Our engineers are aware, but they have struggled to stabilize it. Jace examined the device, noticing fluctuations that hinted at a software glitch, combined with a minor misalignment of energy conduits. It is a simple adjustment, he said. The software is overcompensating for minor changes in flow. I can recalibrate it while they focus on other areas. Kale hesitated. Are you certain, Captain? These systems are ancient and highly sensitive. Errors could disrupt the palace's energy for hours. I am certain, Jace replied calmly. Step aside and watch. For the next hour, Jace worked quietly, adjusting conduits and fine-tuning software parameters. He did not boast, did not demand recognition. Yet slowly, the soft hum of energy flow steadied, and the subtle glow of the eastern wing returned to its normal rhythm. Engineers watching from a distance exchanged surprised glances. This human had solved a problem that had troubled them for days, and done so with patience and precision. Princess Leora arrived shortly afterward, her violet eyes scanning the scene. She had expected humans to be clever, but she had not expected them to act with such quiet efficiency. She observed Jace as he continued his work, noting how he treated the palace engineers with respect, guiding rather than commanding. There was humility in his actions, yet an undeniable skill that inspired confidence. "Captain Arden," she said, her voice carrying across the hall, "you have solved the problem without ceremony or fuss. It is impressive." Most humans would have shouted instructions or demanded attention. You did neither. Jace looked up, nodding respectfully. "Efficiency and respect are not always visible in grand gestures, Princess. Sometimes action alone speaks louder than words." Leora's expression softened slightly, though she still maintained her sharp demeanor. "Perhaps there is more to humans than I have been taught. Perhaps you are a different kind." Over the next few days, Jace continued to immerse himself in the daily life of the palace. He observed and assisted, learning about Elorian technology, culture, and the intricacies of palace life. He discovered the subtle challenges the staff faced: overly complex procedures, minor inefficiencies, and small gaps in communication. Where appropriate, he offered assistance, sometimes suggesting adjustments, sometimes demonstrating alternative approaches. One afternoon, he accompanied a group of Elorian apprentices to the palace gardens. The gardens were a marvel of bioluminescent plants, exotic flowers, and small floating water streams that glowed with energy. The apprentices struggled to maintain the delicate balance of the garden's energy system, which powered both the plant life and the decorative lighting. Jace knelt beside one young apprentice, guiding their hands as they adjusted a conduit. "Why are you helping us?" the apprentice asked, genuinely curious. "Most humans would leave us to our mistakes." Jace smiled gently. "Mistakes are only lessons. Helping you ensures the garden thrives, and we all learn from the process." Word of his assistance spread quietly throughout the palace. Servants, engineers, and apprentices began to observe Jace differently. No longer was he just the human diplomat. He was someone willing to act, to understand, and to contribute without expecting praise. This was unusual among humans and rare even among Elorians. Princess Leora watched these interactions closely. At first, she had thought him clever but ordinary, a human relying on charm and wit. But now, she saw a combination of humility, intelligence, and action. He was quietly building trust, demonstrating strength through service rather than words. Her curiosity deepened, and for the first time, she wondered what other hidden qualities humans might possess. One evening, a minor crisis occurred in the city below. A small energy surge disrupted the flow of traffic on the city's hoverways. Civilians panicked slightly, though no harm came to anyone. Jace, observing the situation from a terrace above, noticed how the Elorian response was efficient but rigid. A quick adjustment could have eased the disruption more rapidly. Without hesitation, he activated a remote interface, sending carefully calibrated signals to stabilize the energy lines. The hoverways resumed their smooth flow within moments. A few onlookers noticed, exchanging impressed glances. Leora, witnessing this from the palace balcony, could not help but feel admiration mingled with surprise. Here was a human, her human, who acted decisively, not to impress, not to show superiority, but to solve a problem efficiently and effectively. She had underestimated the value of human adaptability, and she was beginning to reconsider her assumptions. Over the following week, Jace continued to gain respect quietly through action. He assisted in the palace's archives, helping organize centuries of historical data using both human and Elorian methods. He collaborated with engineers to streamline energy systems, reducing minor inefficiencies without drawing attention to himself. Even the palace guards, initially skeptical of a human wandering freely among them, began to acknowledge his skill and composure. One day, Princess Leora approached him in the archives. She had observed him for hours as he worked with the staff, and she felt compelled to speak. "You continue to surprise me, Captain Arden," she said, her tone unusually thoughtful. "Most humans are loud, proud, or reckless. You are none of these, yet you gain respect quietly simply by acting and helping." Jace looked up, meeting her gaze steadily. I believe that respect is earned through deeds, princess, not titles or words. Every being, human or Elorian, has the capacity to contribute. One simply needs to act. Leora's eyes softened, though her pride still shone through. You are teaching me something I did not expect to learn. Humans, perhaps we have underestimated your species. Jace inclined his head. Perhaps, and sometimes understanding comes slowly. Observation and action reveal more than judgment or assumption ever could. Over the next few days, a subtle change occurred in the palace. Staff members, guards, and even nobles began to treat Jace differently, not just as a guest, but as someone whose opinions, skills, and judgment mattered. Princess Leora observed this quietly, noting how a single human, through patience and intelligent action, had begun influencing the palace without force or command. One evening, as the twin moons rose over Eloria, Jace walked with Leora along the palace terrace. The city below glowed softly with energy lights, and the distant forests shimmered with bioluminescent life. You have done something unusual here, Leora said quietly. You did not argue, you did not boast, and yet people listened to you. Why? Jace looked out over the city, his expression calm. Because humans learn by observing and acting. Words can mislead, but actions show truth. When one helps without expecting reward, others notice naturally. Respect grows quietly, but it is strong. Leora was silent for a moment, considering his words. She had prided herself on her wisdom, on her understanding of her people and others. Yet here was a human, younger than most leaders she had known, teaching her a lesson not through debate, but through patience and quiet action. You are unusual, she said finally, her violet eyes softening. I do not know if I have ever met anyone like you. Jace smiled faintly. Perhaps that is the nature of discovery, princess. Every being has qualities yet unseen. One must look closely to understand them. As they continued to walk, the city glowing beneath them, Leora felt a mixture of admiration and curiosity. This human, quiet, calm, and capable, was teaching her more about strength, patience, and humility than she had anticipated. And for the first time, she wondered what might happen if humans and Elorians could truly work together, not just through negotiation, but through understanding and shared action. For Jace, the journey continued. He had arrived as a diplomat, but he was quietly becoming something more, a bridge between species, a demonstration of human resilience and ingenuity. Actions, he knew, would speak louder than words, and already he could see the first signs of change in Eloria. And in the quiet glow of the palace terrace, as the twin moons reflected off the crystalline towers, both human and princess began to understand that respect and understanding were not given. They were earned quietly through deeds, patience, and the courage to act when it mattered most. The morning began like any other on Eloria. The twin suns cast a gentle warmth across the crystalline towers, and the soft hum of energy filled the palace corridors. Captain Jace Arden moved through the halls, observing the staff and engineers as they worked with precision and grace. Yet beneath the calm surface, an unease lingered. Subtle fluctuations in the city's energy grid hinted at a problem waiting to emerge. Kale approached Jace with a solemn expression. Captain, there is an unusual energy pattern detected in the northern sector. It does not match any known system, he said. Our sensors suggest it could escalate quickly if left unchecked. Jace's eyes narrowed. Show me. They entered the control chamber, a vast space filled with holographic displays and glowing consoles. Engineers worked frantically, adjusting energy flows and recalibrating systems, but the anomaly persisted. The northern sector, which housed an old defense installation, had a dormant AI system designed centuries ago for protection. Its programming was sophisticated, but its response to recent energy fluctuations had been unpredictable. This AI was abandoned decades ago, Kale explained. It should have remained offline, yet it is now activating without warning. If it breaches containment, the palace and city could be at risk. Jace leaned forward, analyzing the holographic display. It's not malfunctioning randomly. It is reacting to energy surges and interpreting them as threats. If we don't stabilize the input and communicate with it, it will escalate defensive measures. Leora arrived shortly afterward, her presence commanding immediate attention. Her violet eyes scanned the chamber, quickly understanding the severity of the situation. Explain, she demanded, her tone sharp but controlled. Jace turned to her. Princess, the Northern Defense AI has detected fluctuations in the city's energy network. It interprets these changes as threats and is activating its security protocols. If unchecked, it could trigger defensive weapons across the city, endangering lives. Leora's expression hardened. Then we must act quickly. Can it be stopped? Yes, Jace replied, but it requires a combination of strategy and direct interface. We need to stabilize the energy grid first, then communicate with the AI to neutralize its threat. I can do it, but I will need full access to the northern sector. Without hesitation, Leora nodded. You have my permission. Do what is necessary, Captain. I trust your judgment. Jace moved quickly, coordinating with engineers and guards. The palace's energy grid was stabilized under his direction, adjusting flow patterns and rerouting excess power to prevent triggering additional defensive responses. His calm, focused demeanor inspired confidence in the Elorian staff, who followed his instructions with precision. As the northern sector's doors opened, Jace entered the control hub. The AI's interface was a complex array of holographic glyphs, moving and shifting as if alive. Its programming was alien, intricate, and highly advanced. He carefully analyzed the patterns, recognizing the logic underlying the AI's responses. It was not malevolent. It was merely doing its job, following the parameters set long ago. Stand by, he called to the engineers outside. I need to synchronize our commands with its core logic. Any mistake could trigger the defenses. For over an hour, Jace worked tirelessly. His fingers moved swiftly over the controls, translating human logic into commands the alien AI could comprehend. He remained calm despite the pressure, his mind methodically solving each problem as it arose. Engineers and guards watched from the observation deck, all growing at the human's skill and composure. Finally, Jace found a pattern, a point of contact where human ingenuity could meet Elorian technology. He initiated a controlled dialogue with the AI, sending signals that adjusted its threat perception while maintaining its core defensive functions. The holographic interface pulsed, shifting in response to his commands, and gradually the AI's system stabilized. Back in the control chamber, engineers noticed the changes immediately. Energy flows returned to normal and the warning alarms silenced. The northern sector's security systems powered down, no longer a threat to the city. A collective sigh of relief filled the room. Princess Leora stepped forward, her eyes wide with admiration and respect. You saved the city, she said, her voice soft but firm. I have never seen such calm, such control under pressure. Humans, you are remarkable. Jace shook his head slightly. I only did what was necessary, Princess. The AI was following its instructions. I simply guided it to understand the present situation. Technology responds to logic. Humans respond to reason, and sometimes reason can prevent disaster. The palace staff began to whisper among themselves, clearly impressed. The human had not only solved a crisis that had stumped them, but had done so without panic, without demanding recognition, and without arrogance. His actions demonstrated the quiet strength humans could bring to even the most advanced civilizations. Leora watched him closely. For the first time, she felt a deep admiration mingled with curiosity. This human, whom she had insulted not long ago, had proven his worth not through words or charm, but through action, intelligence, and composure. Her earlier assumptions about humans had been incomplete, and she now recognized that humans could match or even surpass Elorians in certain forms of problem-solving. You have taught me something important today, Captain, she said quietly, her sharp tone softened. I underestimated humans. You showed me strength I did not expect. Perhaps our species can learn from each other after all. Jace inclined his head respectfully. Understanding comes from observation and action, Princess. Words alone are not enough to reveal true capability. Collaboration shows what each species can bring to the table. Over the next few hours, Jace worked with the palace engineers to implement improved safety protocols, ensuring that the AI would not misinterpret energy fluctuations in the future. His guidance was precise, his instructions clear, and the engineers followed diligently. By evening, the northern sector's systems were stable and fully integrated into the city's energy grid, stronger and safer than ever before. News of the crisis spread quickly through the city. Citizens, who had only felt a brief tremor of panic, learned that a human had played a crucial role in saving the palace and the surrounding city. Murmurs of respect for humans grew louder. Where once humans were seen as clever but unpredictable, now they were regarded as capable and reliable, even in situations that required calm under pressure. Leora spent the rest of the day observing Jace quietly. She noted how he moved through the palace with confidence, yet never imposed himself. How he listened attentively to advice, incorporated feedback, and acted decisively when needed. She began to see humans in a new light, not as inferior or impulsive, but as adaptable, intelligent, and capable of extraordinary courage under pressure. That evening, Jace was invited to a private dinner with Leora in one of the palace's smaller terraces. The glow of bioluminescent plants provided soft light, and the city below shimmered under the twin moons. "You handled today exceptionally well," Leora said, her voice measured but sincere. "The palace, the city, the people, all safe because of you. I misjudged humans, Captain." "I see now that your species has qualities I did not expect." Jace smiled faintly. "Humans have always survived by adapting, Princess. Observation, patience, and action have kept our species alive. Perhaps it is this same quality that allowed me to help today." Leora nodded slowly, her expression thoughtful. "You have earned more than respect, Captain. You have changed the way I view our alliance, our people, and perhaps even the galaxy itself. There is strength in your patience, wisdom in your action, and courage in your calm." For the first time, a genuine smile touched her lips. It was not the smile of politeness or pride, but one of recognition. Recognition that humans, this human, had proven themselves through deeds, not words, and that their quiet strength could be as powerful as any advanced technology or ancient wisdom. As they finished dinner, the palace lights reflected in the calm pools of water along the terrace. Jace felt a quiet satisfaction, not from praise or acknowledgement, but from knowing that action and integrity had made a difference. Humans had earned respect through intelligence, patience, and courage, and the foundation of a new understanding between species was being built. Princess Leora walked beside him to the terrace edge, her violet eyes fixed on the city below. "Captain Arden," she said softly, "I believe we are only beginning to understand what humans can achieve. Today was just the start. I hope we continue to learn from each other." Jace inclined his head. "That is my hope as well, Princess. Understanding and respect grow when action meets reason. Humans have much to share and much to learn. Together, perhaps, we can accomplish great things." And under the twin moons of Eloria, with the city safe and the palace's system stable, both human and princess realized that cooperation, patience, and intelligence were stronger than pride or assumption. Today had been a test of skill and courage. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, and both were ready to face them, side by side, in a galaxy full of possibilities. The day after the AI crisis, the Palace of Eloria was unusually quiet. Citizens moved about with a sense of cautious relief, and palace staff worked efficiently, their confidence restored by the stabilization of the northern sector. Captain Jace Arden walked through the halls with measured steps, aware of the subtle respect he now commanded. His calm composure and decisive action had changed more than just the palace systems. They had shifted the perception of humans entirely. Princess Leora observed him from her chambers. The young princess had spent the night reflecting on recent events. She had begun her time with assumptions, thinking humans were impulsive and reckless. Yet Jace had proven otherwise. He had faced insult with silence, danger with calm, and had earned trust not through words but through action. She found herself both curious and admiring of his unique approach to challenges. That morning, Jace was summoned to the royal council chamber for a formal discussion. The council consisted of the emperor's advisors, engineers, military leaders, and a few trusted nobles. Normally, humans had little influence in such meetings, but today was different. Jace's presence commanded attention, not out of fear but out of respect. "Captain Arden," Leora began, her violet eyes locking onto his, "we are gathered to discuss the next steps for cooperation between our peoples. Your actions have shown us that humans possess qualities we underestimated. We wish to hear your thoughts on how to strengthen this alliance." Jace inclined his head respectfully. "Thank you, Princess. Cooperation is strongest when each side learns from the other. Humans bring adaptability, creativity, and practical problem-solving. Elorians bring advanced technology, wisdom, and an extraordinary understanding of energy systems. Together, we can accomplish more than either species could alone." The council members listened intently. Some nodded, others exchanged glances of agreement, and a few scribbled notes. Jace continued, emphasizing the importance of mutual respect, patience, and trust. He spoke of communication that went beyond formal agreements, actions, understanding, and shared experiences that would strengthen bonds between species. Princess Leora leaned forward, her expression thoughtful. "You speak of trust and respect, Captain. Many humans rely on words or promises to build relationships. You rely on deeds. It is unusual but effective. I now understand that true strength comes not from authority but from consistent action and integrity." Jace smiled faintly. "Actions show character more clearly than words, Princess. They reveal intent, resilience, and dedication. When each side acts with honesty and competence, alliances grow stronger naturally." After the meeting, Jace walked through the palace gardens. The bioluminescent plants glowed softly, casting patterns of light across the walkways. He observed gardeners tending to the exotic flora, engineers adjusting energy flows for the delicate water streams, and apprentices carefully learning from each task. Jace noted how teamwork, patience, and observation created harmony, much like human collaborations on his home planet. Princess Leora joined him silently, her presence warm but reserved. She had watched him over the past days, and now she felt compelled to speak. "Captain Arden," she said softly, "I have seen you work, guide, and help without seeking recognition. You have changed the way I see humans. I respect you greatly." Jace looked at her calmly, his expression sincere. "Thank you, Princess. Respect is mutual. I have also learned much from Elorians, the precision, dedication, and thoughtfulness that guides your people. Together, we can achieve more than either of us could alone." For a moment, they walked in silence, the soft glow of the gardens reflecting in their eyes. Leora considered how quickly she had misjudged him, and how quickly respect could grow when observation and understanding were combined with action. She realized that humans, while younger as a species, had qualities that could complement Elorian strengths perfectly. "You have shown me patience and courage," Leora said finally. "Not just in dealing with my words, but in handling the AI crisis, the palace systems, and the city. You did not seek praise, yet you earned it from everyone. That is a lesson I will not forget." Jace nodded. "Leadership and strength are not measured by titles or insults. They are shown through the choices we make when it matters most. The true measure of a species or an individual is how they respond to challenge." Over the next few days, Jace continued to work alongside the palace staff. He taught human techniques to the engineers for system optimization, shared tactical strategies with the royal guards, and helped apprentices develop problem-solving skills. Each interaction built trust, not only between humans and Elorians, but also between Jace and Princess Leora herself. One afternoon, the palace hosted a festival celebrating the twin moons. Citizens, nobles, and diplomats gathered in the central courtyard, decorated with glowing lanterns and energy threads that formed beautiful patterns in the sky. Music played softly, a mix of alien melodies and subtle harmonies that resonated with the architecture itself. Jace walked among the crowd, observing, speaking politely, and assisting where needed. Children curiously approached him, asking questions about Earth, its people, and human inventions. Jace answered patiently, demonstrating small human gadgets he carried, and even shared a few simple games that amused both children and adults. Leora watched from a balcony above, smiling at the ease with which he connected with the people. During the festival, a minor accident occurred. A floating platform carrying lanterns began to drift toward the crowd. Without hesitation, Jace moved swiftly, adjusting the platform's energy flow and safely guiding it away from the citizens. Applause erupted, not for dramatics, but for the calm, decisive action that prevented harm. Leora descended from the balcony, her expression one of genuine admiration. "Captain Arden, you continue to impress me," she said. "Not with words or arrogance, but with the quiet courage that inspires others. Humans have much to teach and much to offer." Jace bowed slightly, humble yet confident. "I only do what is necessary, Princess. Every species has something valuable to share. When we act with understanding, respect, and courage, we create harmony." As the festival continued, Leora realized that Jace had changed not only the perception of humans in her palace, but also the perception of her own leadership. She had relied on pride, sharp words, and tests to measure strength. Now she understood that true leadership came from observation, collaboration, and the ability to act wisely in critical moments. By the festival's end, humans and Elorians alike had shared experiences, laughter, and lessons. The city seemed to glow brighter, not just from the energy lights, but from the bonds forming between species. Jace's calm, intelligent approach had bridged a gap that words alone could never have closed. Later that night, Jace and Leora stood together on the palace terrace. The city lay peaceful below, bathed in moonlight, the soft glow of lanterns reflecting in the crystalline towers. "You have earned more than respect here, Captain Arden," Leora said softly. "You have earned friendship, trust, and the hope of a lasting alliance. I am glad you came to Eloria." Jace looked out at the city and then back at her, his expression thoughtful. "It is humans who are fortunate, Princess. We have much to learn from your people as well. Strength, wisdom, and patience. These are qualities that guide your civilization. Together, we can face the future with courage and understanding." Leora nodded, her sharp demeanor softened by genuine warmth. "Then let this be the beginning, Captain, an alliance built on action, understanding, and mutual respect. The galaxy is vast, and we have much to explore together." In the days that followed, humans and Elorians began working closely, sharing knowledge, technology, and culture. Jace's calm leadership, problem-solving skills, and quiet confidence became a model for cooperation. Princess Leora continued to learn from him, sometimes observing silently, sometimes engaging in thoughtful discussion, but always with respect for the human who had once been her adversary. And though challenges would continue to arise, new technologies, political tensions, and the uncertainties of space exploration, both human and Elorian knew that together, they had created a foundation stronger than pride, fear, or assumption. In the quiet of the palace terrace, under the twin moons of Eloria, Captain Jace Arden and Princess Leora shared a moment of understanding. It was not spoken in grand declarations or dramatic gestures, but in mutual recognition. Humans and Elorians, working together, could accomplish what neither could alone. The galaxy was vast and filled with unknowns, yet in that moment, both realized that courage, patience, and respect could light a path brighter than any star. The journey had begun, and with trust and understanding guiding them, the future was full of promise. And so, in a world far from Earth, a human had shown the strength of his species, not in force or conquest, but in calm intelligence, decisive action, and unwavering integrity. The young princess had learned a lesson she would never forget. Respect is earned, understanding is shared, and true strength shines through action. Together, they would face whatever challenges lay ahead, proving that even across the stars, cooperation and human ingenuity could leave a lasting mark.